What's up guys, Luke here, coming at you with another fist bump fishing tip. Today I'm going to be spooling some line onto a couple reels and showing you a great money saving tip in the process. Stay tuned and enjoy. I'm going to start with this bait casting reel, and all we're going to need is a drill, a bolt with some washers, and an empty spool of line. This is what we're going to use to take the line off, and then an old reel to take the line from the spool we just took off the reel and get it onto this reel, and then reverse it back onto the other reel, the original one, where the line will flip, and you can use the end of the line that hasn't seen the light of day or any water yet, because it's been at the bottom of the reel. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. We need our spool on the bolt, like so. So now we take this spool with the bolt and put it into a drill, and then you see, like so, you're just going to take the line, a little bit of tape, alright, so we have the line taped onto the spool in the drill, and we just need to click the bail on the reel and start reeling. Also, it's important to tighten down your the tension on the spool, or it's just gonna start freewheeling on you. I move it back and forth just a little bit with my finger, just so it spools onto the spool nicer. And I'm just gonna go ahead and take this line off. There we have it. Line's off to the backing. And now we can go ahead and loosen this nut off so that the spool free spins, and we'll reel this line onto my spare reel here. So I'll get this line onto the reel, and then we'll go from there. Alright, now we have our line back onto our spare reel, which we will just flip the bail and spool it back onto our bait caster. But first we're going to add some backing to this to prevent any line from slipping, and we are going to spool this back on. Okay, so now I'm just going to wind some backing onto this reel before I start with the main line. I usually just add a little bit, maybe 10 to 15 turns or so. Now that I have my backing, I'm going to take my main line and tie it onto my backing. You can use any kind of knot. I usually just tie a quick double uni knot. Trim these tag ends here. So now we're set to spool that line back onto our bait cast reel here, which I'm going to go ahead and do. This is something I've been doing for several years now to save a bit of money on line, instead of throwing away that line that sits under your used line. This is a way that you get a fresh spool, pretty much brand new line, no stretch in it, nothing. I do it for all the line I use. I use mostly braid and fluorocarbon. It works perfect for both. You can do it with any line. There's the end. So now I'll just take the reel off so you can see. Now we have basically brand new or line that's barely even been seen by daylight at the top of the reel, and it can be used for the next little while. I will do this to most of my reels. It's a good way to just save a bit of money. That's that reel. Now I'm just gonna set it aside, and I'm gonna move on to showing you how I spool my spinning reels. I'm gonna be adding actually new line to this one, or I'm just gonna remove this line, chuck it, and I'm gonna be spooling on some spider wire, Stealth Smooth braid, 6-pound. I use this line a lot. It's a great line, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this on the reel. When I spool a spinning reel, I usually just use a 2-piece rod. I'm just gonna take the top piece off. It's just a little bit easier to handle. Gives you usually one guide to run the line through, so you can feather the line with your finger so that you can keep the tightness while you spool out, which I forgot to mention on the bait caster is very important to keep some pressure with your fingers on the line when you're spooling it, so that it goes on nice and tight. I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this line just by pulling it off. Actually, I'll flip the bail. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this off, and I will see you guys in a second. This reel already has some backing, so I'm going to get the drill set up with the new spool on it to spool this new line on. So I'm just going to cut this off, get my new line ready. Once again, I'm just going to tie a small double uni. So we are all tied up, and this is just loose on my drill here. This is basically just a stand, and we're going to go ahead and spool it on. Start spooling that line just to make sure that it goes tight onto the reel. Bing! That's the end. That's it for that spool. Nice and tight on the reel, ready to go. If you'd like, you can figure out how much each handle crank, how much line that pulls in per inch, and measure off how much line you're taking on if you want to manage how much you're going to be using off your spools. One final tip I have for you is getting a label maker. What I'll do is make up a label with what line I'm putting on each reel. This one says 50-pound B for braid, and I'll just stick that somewhere that it fits, and that'll let me know what line I have on that for when I'm spooling up. I know what reels have what line, just like so. Keeping it simple, and now I know that this is a fresh 50-pound spooled reel and ready for fishing. And I'm gonna go ahead and do the same with this one, and that'll be it for these two reels. They're ready to go. Well, that's everything for today. To recap, the things that I use is just a bolt with some washers to attach to the drill with an empty spool. Just a simple thing I do to pull line off of reels. And then the labeling, just to keep things organized and simple, is a very effective way I keep things. I know what line is on what reel. I hope you enjoyed this video today. leave a comment if you have any questions, and make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for the next video. Take care, guys.